What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to Jam with Jock. Let's face it, we all have days where we lack creativity and can't get a single idea out into Ableton. It can be super frustrating when you found the time to make some music and nothing just seems to come out. Thankfully, there's these things called Max for Live devices. These are just extra Ableton effects that are made by different companies, and there's some really cool devices that can elevate your production skills. Today we'll be looking at one called Sting by Skinnerbox. And what this is a generator for MIDI. You can use this device in many ways, but in today's video, we're going to break it down into 3 sections, and I'll show you how to get out of that creative rut if you find yourself in it. So let's go ahead and get stuck into it. The first part of this video is going to show how can we create a percussion loop with Sting. So I've just got a simple house beat going here. Keeping it super basic for the reason is that we're going to build the track around with Sting. So if we go ahead in our drum section, we're just going to create a MIDI clip by pressing Command-Shift-T. And we're going to go into our Max for Live device, type in Sting, and we've got Sting by Skinnerbox. So we've got the smiley face here, which every time you press that, it's going to generate a new idea. We've got the density, which controls how many notes or how little notes is going to be generated. We've got the transpose, which obviously pitches it up and down in octaves. We've got the length, and then some swing and velocity too. So that'll just determine the range of velocities that we get with the MIDI notes. So I'm not going to touch any of those other settings for now. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a drum rack and throw a bunch of percussion samples in there. And then from there, that's going to generate a percussion loop for us. So we're going to go ahead and open a drum rack, go into drums, drum rack. So what I would suggest to do is to search your library just for the word perc or percussion, and then just throw maybe 30 or so of those samples into your drum rack. So I've got these percussions that I like in a folder, Vengeance Essential Club Sounds, it's called. So I'll just go percussion, and we might do say 50. So I'm just going to hold shift and click. So that's going to highlight the above section, drag that into the drum rack, just starting wherever you want. So now I've got 50 different samples in this drum rack, and this Sting is going to generate some sort of loop for me. All right. So if I press play, so instantly there's a nice groove. And the beautiful thing about this is a lot of the time, because obviously I've thrown in 50 different percussion hits, there's going to be some that you don't like. So if ever I hear a sound I don't like, I just go ahead and press this M button, which stands for mute, and then that's going to be out of the loop. And the way that you find what it is, you can see here on the left. You just have to listen out when that orange light lights up. So say I don't like the first sound, I can see it's this first one here. I'll just mute that. And also that goes, if I really like one sound in particular and I don't like anything else, I'm just going to go ahead and press the S button, stands for solo. So you can just leave it like that if you wanted to. So you had just a nice sounding loop and you would just happy to have that looping over and over. But if I did want just one sound in particular and I wanted to do this again to try and generate some new ideas, I'd have the solo button pressed. I'd go ahead and create an audio track, and we're going to send this audio coming in from the drum rack, number 10. We're going to hit record, press record. And now we've got that one hit that we've soloed. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll keep that single sound and we'll generate some more ideas. Now, as you can see, if I unsolo that, I'll just solo this. Because I've got the transpose on 0, it's going to be hitting this bottom section around here. But because I've just got a nice sample of that section there, I want to try and get some of the higher ones. So by doing that, I'm just going to turn the transpose up. and that's going to play some samples above that weren't played before. So let's go ahead and try and generate some more ideas. So again, I like just one sound in particular. I kind of like this, sounds like a bit of a washed out clap. So I'm just going to head and do the same thing. Create a new audio track, Command T, going in to number 10 drum rack, and then I'm going to hit record. Don't need the other two. So we've just got these quite low in the mix. So just going to turn these up to about -3. So far so good. We've got two nice sounding percussion hits. So let's go ahead and find some more. Because I've already got a couple of hits already, I don't want the loop to be super busy. So I'm going to try out turning down this density knob and see if we get less hits. It might sound quite nice. Same story again, just like the one hit. So we'll go ahead and go into the number 10 drum rack again, hit same story. So as you can see visually, it's great because none of these hits are clashing on top of one another. So now we'll listen to what we've got so far, and that might be enough for the percussion, to be honest. So let's have a listen. So instantly you just have so many endless ideas that you can generate just from the click of a button. And for someone who's maybe not the best at making drums and percussion, this is a great way to just get instant ideas and grooves. I think some bongos would actually sound quite nice. So I'm just going to look up the word bongo into my samples, and we'll just go ahead and actually just get a new drum rack first. Drums, drum rack. Up in bongo again. Just grab any of these. Turn that on. Turn the density back to where it was. So I don't really like this one, so I'll just mute that and see how it sounds. Oh, very happy with that. I don't need to record that because I just like that how it is. So now, because I've muted that one that I didn't like, I'm just going to have this turned on the entire time, and then that's just going to be playing with the rest of the drums. Just put a bit of distortion on those. The second way that we can use this is to generate bass lines. So let's go ahead, and we've got our bass sample here. You can have an instrument, a synthesizer. I've just got this sample, a nice house bass that I like to use. So that's going to be mine. And I want to actually show you guys what I usually have my sting as. I actually saved this as a default preset. So every time I open up my Sting, I've saved it to Sting in key. And what that means is every time I'm making a melodic element and I want something to be in a certain key, because if I didn't select the key it was going to be in, the generator would just generate sounds in whatever key. And obviously if you're working in C minor, you want the sound to be generated in C minor, and you don't want to get any other notes that aren't in that scale. So you get a nice sounding melody. So how I've set this up and how I'd recommend you guys setting it up at home is opening up your Sting patch. Might just go ahead and start this from scratch so it's nice and easy. So Max for Live, Sting, and then I'd go into my MIDI effects, and then I'd throw a scale in after. So any sort of scale you want. We're going to be working in minor today, so I'm just going to throw this one. Make sure it's very important that it's behind the Sting, and then we're going to shift click on both of these, and then we're going to Command G to group them. And so then you press this save button, and then you name it whatever you want. So I've already got mine here, Sting in key. You can do the same as for you, Sting in key. So every time you open that file, it's going to open that with the scale on it every time. So you can, if you want to create melodic ideas in key, you can just click on that rather than the standard Sting that doesn't have the scale in it. Okay, so now I've got the Sting on the bass. We'll just work in C minor, but say I wanted to work in any of these, you would do that, and then that's going to generate sounds in F minor. Just do C minor. And I'll press play. I should start hearing some bass melodies now. Let's turn some of that percussion down. The good thing here, there's a transpose button here too. So I noticed before when I was just using the Sting for the percussion, this only goes up to 6, which is not that big at all. So often for bass, I find that it's really quite deep, or for actually all the other melodies in general, it's quite deep. So if it's on 0, just press shift up and you're going to go up an octave. Pretty cool. Now, what I would do for generating melodies, often I find the Sting is a great way to get an idea, but it's never really one that you can use as it is. So by creating a MIDI file instead of an audio file, is you have more control over the notes. If I just recorded that bass in audio, then I wouldn't be able to adjust any more notes, and how the Sting produced that sound would be how I would get it. In this case though, I'm sure I'm going to be wanting to add to it. So we're going to create a MIDI file, Command Shift T. We're going to be getting MIDI from the bass. We're going to be hitting ARM on that MIDI file. And if you see, I'm just going to hit record, and I'll start generating some MIDI notes for me. Okay. So I would just drag this back onto the bass file, and you got to make sure you turn this Sting off. Very important. Otherwise, it's going to just keep generating sounds. So say I want that A sharp down an octave. So this way you just have obviously a lot more control, and that's what I like doing these melodic elements. I like doing them in MIDI for that reason specifically. Some people like just hitting ARM on this MIDI track and just having it record everything you generate. For me though, I just feel like there's no point in doing it the entire time. I just hit record on Sting. I just hit play on Sting. And if it sounds good to me, then I'll just go record it into this MIDI track. So if you want to just record everything you want, because I mean, probably to that point though, is if you do like something and you press that button, that's it, it's gone. So I guess it is probably just best to be safer than sorry, and just maybe record the entire thing. So we'll just go ahead and do that. Record. You'll notice it's changing the notes now because I've just pressed this button. I like this one. It's pretty simple. The others were a bit too hectic for me. Like there was a bit too much going on. I was actually going to turn down the density, but then this one played and it was quite chill. So I'll go ahead and drag this up into the bass. I'll turn my sting off, remember? So now I'm hearing these notes that are playing. Just going to press Command J to consolidate that together. All right, so we'll go ahead and make some adjustments now. For this, we're going to go into C minor. That's what we're in. Highlight scale. So I'm going to start doing that's A flat. I'm going to try and work in one bar and then we'll just duplicate that over. Cool, so there we have very basic bassline obviously, but the point of this tutorial is to show you how easy it is to create these ideas. I'm not trying to create the world's best bassline today, but as you can see, I had something down pretty quickly, and by recording it into MIDI, you can then add notes, you can subtract notes, and it's a great way to get the idea started, but then actually twist it into your own style after that. So because the way that you would generate a bass line and melody is quite similar, I don't want to do the third part of the video being on that melody because I just feel like it's the exact same thing, just having a synth on. So another creative way that I'm going to show you guys how I'd use this today is actually creating some vocal chops. So I've got these kind of MC hip hop vocals, which is a free download, by the way. So just to help you guys, if you don't have them, I'll add a link in the description for these. So cool vocal hooks this one is. So it's already sounding a bit better. I'm going to record this to audio because I don't really want the MIDI, and then I can also edit the audio as well. So where are we? Going from 19, hit arm. So I'll consolidate that, turn off that. So one thing I like to do with audio is if I would just want a certain part muted out, go into envelopes, go into clip, and then you've got this gain here, and I'm going to press B or click up here to turn the pencil on. So maybe I just want this middle one. So that's just an easy way to edit an audio file if you don't have the MIDI and you just want to chop it up. So there's 3 different ways that you can generate instant ideas, and you can do it whether you want to create drums, melodies, vocal chops, and obviously the possibilities are endless. Just remember to save it with that scale next to it, just so if you're creating melodies, you can have it in key. The only negative I have with this device is it can be pretty comfortable to use it. And so there might be a day where you try and make one idea, and if it doesn't come straight away, you jump straight onto Sting. And obviously I think over time, it's great to try and still practice these ideas without Sting. You don't want to rely on technology to create ideas. And so it's a great tool to have, but just be mindful how much you're using it. With percussion hits, and other elements that aren't melodic, I'd probably say it's not the end of the world to use that as much as you want. But what I mean specifically is with the bass line and the melodies, you really want to be practicing how to generate those ideas from scratch and not rely on this. Like I said before, I'll attach that sample pack in the description. I'll also have a link to Sting, which is a free download as well. If you have any questions about how to install it or anything to do with the video, please drop them down below and I'd be happy to get back to you on that. And once again, thank you so much for staying to the end of the video. If you learned anything in this video, then please go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. If you wanted to watch one of my latest uploads, you can just go ahead and click up here. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next one.